The mahogany conference room doors had never felt so heavy as I pushed them open that Tuesday morning. The familiar scent of leather and coffee, which usually brought comfort, now made my stomach turn. I was early, I'm always early, but I wasn't the first one there. Oh, look who finally showed up. Amanda's voice dripped with fake concern as I entered the room. We were just discussing the new arrangements. My name is Olivia Chen, and at 31, I was about to watch 7 years of my life unravel in our family company's executive conference room. Or at least that's what they thought. I stood frozen in the doorway, staring at the nameplate in front of my usual seat. Former VP of Operations. Next to it, where the guest chair used to be, sat a shiny new placard. Amanda Mitchell, Executive Vice President of Operations. My younger sister twirled in my leather chair. My chair, her designer heels propped up on the mahogany table our grandfather had brought over from Italy when he first started Mitchell & Sons Pharmaceuticals. Don't look so shocked, Liv, she smirked. We all knew this was coming. Did we? I thought about the late nights I'd spent in this building, the weekends sacrificed, the relationships put on hold. 7 years of working my way up from entry level to vice president, learning every aspect of the business our grandfather had built. Meanwhile, Amanda had been busy posting Instagram photos from her extended gap year that had somehow stretched into her late 20s. My father cleared his throat from the head of the table, not quite meeting my eyes. Olivia, please take a seat. We have some changes to discuss. I walked calmly to the chair marked former VP, my heels clicking against the marble floor in perfect rhythm. 7 years in this company had taught me something valuable. Never let them see you sweat. Of course, Dad, I said, sitting down and placing my phone on the table. I assume this is about the Meridian merger. The Meridian merger, my project, my baby. 6 months of negotiations, countless sleepless nights, and one very important phone call I'd made last week that nobody in this room knew about. Yet. Actually, my father began, shuffling the papers in front of him. Amanda will be handling the Meridian merger moving forward. She has some fresh ideas about the direction we should take. Fresh ideas, right? Amanda had never handled a merger in her life. The closest she'd come to pharmaceutical experience was posting sponsored content for vitamin gummies on her social media. I see, I said, picking up my phone and checking the time. 9:27 a.m. Perfect. My mother sat beside my father, her expression a practiced mix of sympathy and dismissal. Darling, we just think it's time for some new energy in the company. You understand, don't you? Amanda has such a modern perspective on things. Modern perspective, I repeated softly. Is that what we're calling it now? Amanda's smirk grew wider. Don't be bitter, Liv. I know you tried your best, but let's be honest. You're just too traditional, too stuck in Grandpa's old ways. The company needs someone who understands the future. The future. I almost laughed. They had no idea what the future held. The board has already approved the change, my father added, as if that made everything okay. It's effective immediately. We'll need you to clear out your office by the end of the day. I checked my phone again. 9:29 a.m. Any minute now. And the Meridian contracts? I asked, keeping my voice level. All the documentation is in my office. Amanda will handle those, my father said firmly. She's already scheduled a meeting with their CEO next week to discuss her new vision. Oh, this was almost too perfect. Actually, I said, just as my phone buzzed right on schedule. I don't think that meeting will be necessary. I turned my phone around, showing them the email that had just arrived. The blood drained from my father's face as he read the subject line. Merger agreement finalized. Mitchell & Sons and Meridian Pharmaceuticals. What is this? He demanded, his voice shaking slightly. The future, I replied calmly. I finalized the merger last week. Meridian is now our parent company, and I've accepted the position of Chief Operations Officer for the entire merged organization. The silence in the room was deafening. Amanda's feet dropped from the table with a thud. You can't do that, she sputtered. Dad, tell her she can't do that. But my father was still staring at my phone, his face growing paler by the second, because he knew, he had to know, what this meant. The merger wasn't just a merger, it was a takeover, and I had orchestrated the whole thing. Actually, I continued, standing up and straightening my blazer, I can. And I did. While you were all busy planning my replacement, I was busy planning something too. Meridian didn't just want our market share, They wanted our talent. Specifically, my talent. I picked up the former VP placard and placed it in front of Amanda. Congratulations on your promotion, sis. Unfortunately, as the new COO, my first action will be a restructuring of the executive team. You understand, don't you? We need someone with actual experience in pharmaceuticals. My mother found her voice first. Olivia, you're destroying your family's legacy. I turned to her, feeling a lifetime of dismissal and favoritism fuel my next words. No, Mom, I'm saving it. This company hasn't been a family legacy since you and Dad started treating it like Amanda's future trust fund instead of a serious business. We can fight this, my father said, but his voice lacked conviction. He knew better. I learned corporate law from the best, him. You can try, I agreed. But then I'll have to share with the board exactly why Meridian was so eager to take over. Should we discuss the financial irregularities I discovered? The ones conveniently coinciding with Amanda's many business trips to the Maldives. Amanda's face went from red to white in record time. You wouldn't dare. Try me. My phone buzzed again. Meridian's CEO this time. If you'll excuse me, I have a company to run. HR will be in touch about the restructuring. I headed for the door, then paused. Oh, and Amanda, you might want to start packing up my office. You'll need to clear it out by the end of the day. As I walked out, head held high, I heard Amanda's voice crack. Daddy, do something. But there was nothing he could do, not anymore. In my office, my soon-to-be former office, I sat down at my desk and finally let out the breath I'd been holding. 7 years of being the responsible one, watching Amanda get every advantage, every opportunity, every ounce of praise. 7 years of being told I was too serious, too traditional, too much like Grandpa. I opened my desk drawer and pulled out an old photo. Grandpa and me in this very office when I was 10. He was teaching me about profit margins while Amanda was at her dance recital. Remember, Olivia, he'd said, in business and in life, it's not about who shouts the loudest. It's about who prepares the best. I'd taken that lesson to heart, spending years learning every aspect of the business, building relationships with our partners and competitors, understanding the industry inside and out. While Amanda was building her Instagram following, I was building something far more valuable: expertise, respect, and a reputation for getting things done. The Meridian opportunity hadn't just fallen into my lap. I cultivated it, nurtured it, seeing the writing on the wall as my parents increasingly pushed Amanda into positions she wasn't qualified for. I'd known this day was coming, I just hadn't expected them to be quite so blatant about it. My phone buzzed again. Laura from Meridian. Board meeting at 11. Ready to announce the restructuring. I smiled, thinking of the shocked faces I'd left in the conference room. Absolutely. Time for some new energy in the company. I spent the next hour organizing files and preparing for the transition. The security team would be here soon to change the access codes, my first order as COO. Not that I didn't trust my family, but, well, actually, that was exactly it. I didn't trust them, and they'd given me every reason not to. A knock at my door interrupted my thoughts. I looked up to see my father standing there, looking older than I'd ever seen him. Can we talk? He asked, his voice uncharacteristically hesitant. I gestured to the chair across from my desk. Of course. I assume you've spoken to legal. He nodded, sinking into the chair. You've outplayed us all, haven't you? The quiet one, the serious one, the one we thought was too traditional to see the big picture. Funny how that worked out, I replied, keeping my voice neutral. Though I have to wonder, did you really think I wouldn't fight back? That I'd just accept being pushed aside for Amanda's latest whim? We thought. He trailed off, then tried again. Your sister has such natural charisma, such presence. We thought she could be the face of the company while I what, Dad? Continued doing all the actual work? Continued making all the hard decisions while she took the credit. He had the grace to look ashamed. We never meant to hurt you. No, I agreed. You just never thought about me at all. Not really, not as anything more than Amanda's support system. The silence stretched between us, heavy with years of unspoken resentment and missed opportunities. Finally, he spoke again. What happens now? I handed him a folder. I prepared it weeks ago, knowing this conversation would come. Now we move forward. The merger is happening. The restructuring is happening. But, I paused, making sure I had his full attention. There's still a place for you in the company, if you can accept that things are going to be different. He opened the folder, scanning the documents inside. His eyes widened slightly. You're keeping me on as chairman? A non-executive chairman, I clarified. You'll maintain your board seat and voting rights, but operational decisions will run through me and Dad. I leaned forward. Amanda is not getting an executive position. She can stay on in marketing if she wants, but she'll need to actually work for her promotions from now on. He nodded slowly, understanding the new reality. And your mother? She can keep her foundation work. It's good PR, and she's actually decent at it when she's not playing favorites. Another knock at my door, security this time, ready to begin the access code changes. My father stood up, clutching the folder like a lifeline. You really are your grandfather's granddaughter, he said softly. I know, I replied. That's what you all forgot. And Dad? Next time you want to mark someone as a former employee, make sure they don't have a better offer waiting. As he left, I turned to look out my office window at the city skyline. Somewhere out there, Grandpa was probably laughing. He'd always said the quiet ones were the ones to watch out for. Today, I'd proven him right. My phone buzzed one last time. Amanda. This isn't over. I smiled, piping back. Actually, it is. But don't worry, you can post about it on Instagram. I hear career transitions are great for engagement. The first week after the takeover was exactly what I expected: chaos, drama, and an impressive display of my sister's ability to play the victim on social media. Betrayed by my own sister, Amanda's Instagram story read, accompanied by a black and white selfie of her looking pensively out a window. Family means nothing in the face of corporate greed. #businesslife, #betrayal, #familydrama. I closed the app and focused on the quarterly reports spread across my new desk. The corner office at Meridian's headquarters offered a much better view than my old one. And more importantly, it was 50 floors and 10 miles away from my family's theatrics. Ms. Mitchell? My new assistant, Sarah, appeared in the doorway. Your mother is in the lobby. Again. This was the third time this week. Let me guess. No appointment. She says it's a family emergency. Of course she did. Everything was a family emergency these days. Tell her I'm in meetings until 5. She can make an appointment like everyone else. Sarah hesitated. She's quite insistent, and she brought your grandmother. That made me pause. Grandma Eleanor, my father's mother, hadn't left her estate in months. If she was here, something was actually wrong. Send them up, I sighed, straightening my desk. And Sarah? Hold all my calls. 5 minutes later, my mother swept into the office like a perfectly coiffed hurricane, Grandma Eleanor following at a more dignified pace. Finally, Mom exclaimed, dropping into one of my visitor chairs. Do you know how many times I've tried to reach you? Your own mother, reduced to waiting in lobbies like a common. Hello, Olivia, Grandma Eleanor interrupted, settling into the other chair with a knowing smile. The view up here is magnificent. Your grandfather would have loved it. Thank you, Grandma, I said, returning her smile. I think he would have too. Oh, stop encouraging her, Mom snapped. This isn't a social call. Your sister is devastated, Olivia. Absolutely devastated. She's barely eaten, barely slept. And yet she's managed to post 17 times about her betrayal in the last 3 days, I noted dryly, including a sponsored post about healing crystals. Don't be snide. This isn't a joke. You've destroyed our family's legacy, and for what? A bigger office? A fancier title? Actually, Grandma Eleanor interjected, I believe she saved the legacy. Didn't you, dear? I met my grandmother's sharp blue eyes, so like my grandfather's, and saw understanding there. Of course she knew. She'd been married to Grandpa for 50 years. She probably knew the company's books better than anyone. The audit reports came in this morning, I said, pulling a folder from my desk drawer. Would you like to see them, Mom? The full accounting of every business expense Amanda charged to the company over the last 2 years, the irregular transfers, the ghost employees on payroll whose checks somehow ended up in her personal account. Mom's face went pale. Those were approved expenses. Your father. Dad approved them because you insisted, because precious Amanda needed to maintain an image for the company. But do you know what maintaining that image cost us? 30% of our annual profits. Money that should have gone to research, development, to actually growing the business. That's not. Mom started, but Grandma Eleanor cut her off. Helen dear, I think it's time you stopped talking and started listening. Really listening. Mom's mouth snapped shut. Even after 30 years of marriage to my father, she was still slightly afraid of her mother-in-law. The merger with Meridian didn't just happen. I continued, my voice softer now. They've been watching us for months, watching our stock price drop, our market share shrink, while our expenses somehow kept growing. They saw a vulnerable company being bled dry by mismanagement. So you sold us out, Mom accused. No, I saved us from bankruptcy. Meridian was going to acquire us either way. The only question was whether it would be a merger or a hostile takeover. I made sure we got the better option. Grandma Eleanor nodded approvingly. Just like your grandfather, he always said prevention was better than cure. This isn't what he would have wanted, Mom protested weakly. Actually, Helen, Grandma Eleanor's voice took on a steely edge, this is exactly what George wanted. Why do you think he spent so much time teaching Olivia about the business? He saw in her what you and James refused to see, a true leader. Mom fell silent, staring out the window at the city below. I could almost see the wheels turning in her head, reevaluating years of assumptions and biases. What happens now? She finally asked. Now we actually run a business. Meridian's backing gives us the capital for proper research and development. We have 3 new drugs in the pipeline that could actually make a difference in people's lives. And yes, Amanda can keep her marketing position if she actually does the work. And your father? Dad stays on as chairman, focusing on what he does best, building relationships with other companies. But the operational decisions, those go through me. A knock at my door interrupted us. Sarah again. I'm sorry, Ms. Mitchell, but your 3 o'clock is here. The research team from Stockholm. I nodded. Thank you, Sarah. I'll be right there. I turned back to my visitors. I have to go. Real work to do. Grandma Eleanor stood first, smoothing her elegant gray skirt. Of course, dear. Dinner on Sunday. The usual time. I wouldn't miss it. I smiled. Our weekly dinners had been a tradition since Grandpa passed. Mom stood more slowly, still processing everything. At the door, she paused. Olivia? Did you ever try to tell us about Amanda's spending? Many times, Mom. You just didn't want to hear it. She nodded, a flicker of something, regret, maybe, crossing her face. I suppose we'll have to learn to listen better. After they left, I took a moment to collect myself before the meeting. My phone buzzed. A text from Amanda. Mom says you're keeping me in marketing. As if. I have 3 other offers already. I smiled, typing back. Check your non-compete clause. It transferred with the merger. But hey, there's always Instagram. The response was immediate. You can't do this to me. But I already had. And unlike every other time in our lives, there was nothing our parents could do to fix it for her. The next few days brought more revelations. Amanda's other offers turned out to be pyramid schemes and influencer partnerships. Dad, to his credit, seemed to be adapting to his new role with surprising grace, perhaps relieved to be freed from the daily operational decisions he'd never really enjoyed. The real surprise came Friday afternoon when my father's old secretary, Margaret, appeared in my office. These were in the old files, she said, placing a stack of letters on my desk. Your grandfather wrote them before he passed. One for each of his grandchildren, to be opened when they took over the company. My hands trembled slightly as I picked up the envelope with my name. Inside was a single sheet of paper, covered in Grandpa's distinctive handwriting. Letter remains unchanged. It's already perfect. I wiped away a tear, carefully folding the letter. In my pocket, my phone buzzed again, probably another dramatic text from Amanda or a passive-aggressive message from Mom. But for now, I let it wait. Instead, I walked to the window, looking out at the city stretching before me. I had work to do, real work, important work. And for the first time in my career, I didn't have to prove anything to anyone except myself. 3 months into the merger, I sat in my office reviewing the latest quarterly reports. The numbers didn't lie. Our profits were up 40%, research and development were flourishing, and employee satisfaction had reached an all-time high. Yet the victory felt bittersweet as I stared at the email that had just landed in my inbox. Family dinner, mandatory attendance required, my mother's subject line declared. After 12 weeks of cold shoulders and passive-aggressive texts, she was attempting to force a reconciliation. The timing wasn't coincidental. Tomorrow's board meeting would reveal the company's remarkable turnaround, and suddenly, everyone wanted to be on speaking terms again. "Sarah," I called out to my assistant, "what's my schedule like this Sunday?" She appeared in the doorway, tablet in hand. "Actually, you have the quarterly review with the Stockholm team." "Cancel it," I said, surprising us both. "Tell them something came up, family business." A soft knock at my door made us both look up. Dad stood there, looking almost uncertain. A strange expression for a man who'd spent 30 years ruling this company with unwavering confidence. "Do you have a minute?" he asked. I nodded to Sarah, who quietly excused herself. Dad took her place, settling into one of the visitor chairs with a heavy sigh. "Your mother's dinner invitation," he started. "Wasn't really an invitation," I finished for him. "More like a royal summons." He actually chuckled at that. "She's trying. In her way." He paused, studying me with new eyes. "The board reports came in early. You've done in 3 months what we couldn't do in 3 years. Amazing what happens when you focus on pharmaceuticals instead of Instagram followers." "Olivia," he sighed, running a hand through his graying hair. "I owe you an apology, several actually." I set down my pen, giving him my full attention. This was new. Dad didn't do apologies. "The thing is," he continued, "we got so caught up in Amanda's sparkle, I suppose. Her big ideas, her grand plans. We forgot that business isn't built on plans, it's built on execution. And accountability," I added quietly. "Yes, that too." He pulled out a folded piece of paper from his jacket. "I found this in my old office while clearing it out. It's from your first year with the company." I recognized it immediately, my initial proposal for streamlining our production process. The one that had been repeatedly shelved in favor of Amanda's flashier marketing campaigns. "You implemented it last month, didn't you?" he asked. "The new automated system." I nodded. "With some updates. Technology's evolved since then. It's saving us millions, just like you said it would." He carefully refolded the paper. "We should have listened." I should have listened. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. Amanda's face flashing on the screen. I let it go to voicemail. "She's still not taking it well," Dad observed. "She's taking it exactly how you and Mom taught her to take disappointment, by expecting someone else to fix it." He winced but didn't argue. We both knew it was true. "The marketing department submitted their quarterly reviews yesterday," I said, pulling up the file on my computer. "Want to guess how many meetings your precious CEO in training has actually attended?" "Olivia?" "2, Dad. 2 meetings in 3 months. But she's posted 37 times about being silenced and oppressed by corporate politics." He had the grace to look embarrassed. "We may have enabled certain behaviors." May have. I couldn't help but laugh. "Dad, you created a monster. And now you're all shocked that you can't handle actual responsibility." My phone buzzed again. Amanda's 3rd attempt in an hour. This time, I answered and put it on speaker. Finally, her voice filled the office. "I've been trying to reach you all day. Listen, about Sunday's dinner. I think it's time we discuss my return to a more suitable position. Executive VP of Global Strategy, maybe? Now that you've had your little power play." "Amanda," I interrupted, "are you calling from the marketing meeting that started 10 minutes ago?" A pause. I had a conflict. A nail appointment isn't a conflict. It's a choice. Just like showing up unprepared to every meeting you do attend is a choice. Just like treating this company like your personal ATM was a choice. "That's not fair. Daddy, tell her." "No," Dad said firmly, surprising us both. "No, Amanda. Your sister is right. This stops now." Another pause, longer this time. When Amanda spoke again, her voice had that dangerous sweetness she used when plotting revenge. "Fine. I guess I'll just have to show the board those emails about the Meridian deal. The ones from before the merger. I'm sure they'd be very interested in how their new COO orchestrated everything." I smiled, though she couldn't see it. "You mean the emails that detail how I saved the company from your embezzlement? Please share them. I'm sure the board would love to know exactly why I had to take such drastic action." "You wouldn't dare. Try me." "Oh, and Amanda? The meeting you're missing? It's being recorded. Have fun explaining another absence to HR. I hung up, meeting Dad's stunned expression. "She's not going to stop," he said quietly. "No, she's not. Which is why I've already documented everything. Every fraudulent expense, every missed meeting, every attempt at manipulation. The question is, Dad, are you and Mom going to keep enabling her, or are you finally ready to let her face consequences?" He was quiet for a long moment, staring out at the city skyline. Finally, he turned back to me. "Sunday's dinner," he said. "Let me handle your mother. You just keep doing what you're doing here." He gestured to the quarterly reports. "You're making your grandfather proud." After you left, I sat back in my chair, thinking about how much had changed. 3 months ago, I was the responsible but overlooked daughter. Now, I was running the company my grandfather built, turning it into something even better than before. My phone buzzed with a text from Grandma Eleanor. "Your mother's in quite a state about Sunday. Should I bring the good wine?" I smiled, typing back, "Better bring 2 bottles." The rest of the afternoon passed in a blur of meetings and decisions. Real work, the kind Amanda had always dismissed as beneath her. Every signature I placed, every proposal I reviewed, felt like a vindication of my grandfather's faith in me. At 6, Sarah popped her head in one last time. "Mr. Harrison from Meridian is on line 1. Says it's about the new research facility." "Put him through," I said, then paused. "And Sarah?" "Go home. It's late." She smiled, the kind of genuine smile I'd rarely seen from employees during Amanda's brief reign. "Thanks, Ms. Mitchell. Oh, and congratulations on the quarterly numbers. The whole office is buzzing." After she left, I took the call, discussing plans for a state-of-the-art research facility that would create hundreds of jobs and potentially groundbreaking new treatments. This was what business was supposed to be about, not social media followers or designer wardrobes, but creating something meaningful. My computer dinged with a new email, from Amanda, of course. The subject line read, "You'll regret this." I deleted it without opening it, let her plot and scheme. I had a company to run. Looking out at the setting sun painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, I thought about Sunday's dinner. Mom would try to guilt me, Amanda would threaten and manipulate, and Dad would attempt to play peacemaker. But for the first time in my life, I didn't need their approval or acceptance. I pulled out Grandpa's letter, rereading his words about quiet strength and true leadership. He'd seen something in me long ago, something my parents had missed in their rush to crown Amanda as the golden child. As if on cue, my phone lit up with another call, this time from Mom, probably to remind me about Sunday and list all the ways I'd disappointed her. I let it go to voicemail. After all, I had more important things to focus on. Monday's board meeting would reveal just how right Grandpa had been about his quiet warrior of a granddaughter. And something told me that family dinner was about to get very interesting indeed. Sunday evening arrived with an air of impending drama. I pulled up to my parents' house in my Audi, noting Amanda's bright red Mercedes parked conspicuously in my old spot. Some things never changed. Grandma Eleanor was waiting on the front steps, 2 bottles of wine in hand. "I brought reinforcements," she said with a wink. "Something tells me we'll need them." The house smelled of Mom's signature pot roast, her go-to meal for important family discussions. As we entered the dining room, I saw she'd gone all out. The good china, crystal glasses, even fresh flowers. Classic Helen Mitchell crisis management. "Olivia, darling." Mom's voice was pitched too high, too bright. "We were beginning to worry you wouldn't come." "Wouldn't miss it," I replied, accepting her air kiss, especially with tomorrow's board meeting. Amanda, already seated at the table, visibly tense. She was wearing what I recognize as her business power suit, probably purchased with company money before I cut off her expense account. "About that," she started, but Dad cut her off. "Let's eat first," he said firmly. "Family dinner rules. No business talk until dessert." We settled into our seats, an awkward parade of past dishes and forced small talk. Mom chatted about her charity committee, Dad discussed golf scores, and Amanda kept shooting me looks that promised retribution. Only Grandma Eleanor seemed genuinely at ease, calmly sipping her wine and watching the show unfold. Finally, as Mom served her famous apple pie, Amanda could contain herself no longer. "So," she said, her voice dripping honey-coated venom, "should we discuss the real reason we're all here? Tomorrow's board meeting." "Amanda," Dad warned, but she pressed on. "No, let's talk about it." Let's talk about how my dear sister orchestrated this whole takeover, how she manipulated everyone. Manipulated? I set down my fork. That's an interesting choice of words coming from you. What's that supposed to mean? I pulled out my tablet, sliding it across the table. Why don't we review your company expenses for the past year? The business dinners that somehow always happened at luxury spas. The marketing research trips to Paris that coincidentally aligned with Fashion Week. The ghost employees whose salaries went straight to your personal account. Mom's face went pale. Those were approved expenses. They were fraud, Mom. Plain and simple. And you all knew it. You just didn't care because it was precious Amanda doing it. How dare you? Amanda stood up, her chair scraping back. After everything this family has done for you. Done for me? I couldn't help but laugh. What exactly has this family done for me? Ignored my achievements, dismissed my concerns, handed you my position despite your complete lack of qualifications. Girls, please, Mom started, but Grandma Eleanor's voice cut through the tension. Let her finish, Helen. I think it's time we all heard what Olivia has to say. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of years of silence lifting. You want to know why I orchestrated the merger? Because this company, Grandpa's company, was dying. Not because of market conditions or competition, but because you treated it like a personal piggy bank instead of a business. I turned to Dad. You knew the numbers weren't adding up. You knew Amanda's spending was out of control, but instead of dealing with it, you buried your head in the sand and hoped it would somehow fix itself. We were trying to protect the family, Mom protested weakly. No, you were trying to protect Amanda. Like you always have. And look where it got us. The company nearly bankrupt, employees demoralized, and our reputation in shambles. But the merger fixed everything. Amanda interjected. So really, you should be thanking me. My spending created the opportunity for... Stop. Dad's voice was quiet but firm. Just stop, Amanda. We all turned to look at him. In the soft dining room light, he suddenly looked older, tired. Your sister is right, he continued. About all of it. We failed, not just the company, but both of you. We failed Amanda by never setting boundaries, never demanding accountability. And we failed you, Olivia, by never acknowledging your worth. Amanda's mouth fell open. Daddy. No, sweetheart, this stops now. The board meeting tomorrow isn't just about quarterly results. It's about restructuring the entire company culture, starting with the marketing department. What do you mean? Amanda's voice had lost its confidence. I pulled out another folder. I've been carrying it all week, waiting for this moment. It means you have a choice. Either resign quietly with a modest severance package or face a full audit and potential criminal charges for fraud. You can't do this, Mom, tell her. But Mom was staring at her plate, tears sliding down her cheeks. We should have listened, she whispered. All those times you tried to warn us about the spending, about the company's direction, we should have listened. Helen, Grandma Eleanor said gently, it's not too late to start. A heavy silence fell over the table. Finally, Amanda reached for the folder with trembling hands. How much? She asked, her voice small. The severance. Enough to start fresh, I replied. Maybe actually earn something for yourself for once. She signed the papers without another word, then fled the room in tears. Mom moved to follow her, but Dad caught her arm. Let her go, he said. It's time she learned to handle consequences on her own. After they left, Grandma Eleanor and I sat in the quiet dining room, sharing the last of the wine. Your grandfather would be proud, she said, raising her glass. Not just of saving the company, but of having the courage to do what needed to be done. Even if it meant going against family. Especially then. Sometimes love means standing firm, even when it hurts. I thought about tomorrow's board meeting, about the bright future ahead for the company, about all the good we could do now that we were focused on actual business instead of family drama. To Grandpa, I said, raising my glass. And to quiet warriors. And to you, my dear, Grandma Eleanor added with a smile. The CEO he always knew you could be. As we drove home later that night, my phone buzzed with a text from Dad. The board packet for tomorrow. You've done more in 3 months than we did in 3 years. I was wrong. We all were. I smiled, thinking of Grandpa's letter in my desk drawer. He'd known all along what kind of leader I could be, not the loudest or the flashiest, but the one who would put the work first, the one who would protect his legacy, even if it meant standing alone. Another text came through, this time from Amanda. I hope you're happy. You've ruined everything. No, I thought, looking at the city lights spreading out before me, I'd saved everything. And finally, after all these years, I'd saved myself too. Tomorrow's board meeting would show the world what my grandfather had seen in his quiet granddaughter. The numbers would speak for themselves, just like they always had for those who cared to listen. And for the first time in my life, I knew without a doubt that I'd made the right choice. Not just for the company, but for our family too. Sometimes the strongest love isn't about enabling or protecting. It's about having the courage to say, enough. As Grandpa had written in his letter, true leadership isn't about being seen. It's about seeing what needs to be done and having the courage to do it. And I had finally found that courage.